everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. Here we go. Hydra fans out there and just generally good card fans and token creating fans. And yeah, a lot of fans are going to love this card. Here we go. Warden of the Grove is a brand new, exciting spoiler that is getting already a lot of discussion around it, and for good reason. A 2/2 Hydra for 3 mana, and that's it. And it's a garbage card. Just kidding. Here we go. At the beginning of your end step, put a counter on this creature. Okay, cool. So Hydra growing very slowly, but what else do we have? Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X Rex the number of counters on this creature. So either get X counters on this creature, or the creature that entered, I should say, or yeah, you get an XX White Spirit creature token. So essentially, you're probably going to be making those tokens. I'd say the vast majority of the time, you're probably going to be making big tokens. I mean, also just getting counters on your creatures when they come in. I mean, it depends on the deck. It really does, because you could have just like a counters-based synergy strategy. Cool. And you're like, okay, like I just want those creatures to automatically enter with a lot of counters. That's great. But you also can just make a ton of giant spirits that can just dominate the board as well. Yeah, this is the kind of card where it is going to be kind of fulfilling a lot of roles for a lot of people. It is going to be one of those cards where Timmies are going to love it because it's like big, stompy, yes, awesome, cool. If you've got a strategy that works with getting a lot of creatures in play, again, non-token, yes, but like if you got like blink strategy as well, you could be like, oh yeah, it blinks and then I get more creatures. Yeah, good for me. If you've got a counter synergy, if you've got, you know, a potential, I'm sure there's got to be combos that work well with this too. There's got to be some combos. Anytime you're like, hey, yeah, very easily make creature tokens, there's got to be some combos that work well with it too. But yeah, this is the type of card where it can fill a lot of roles. It can do a lot of exciting things. It's not your typical Hydra that's just all about building up its own counters. It's about actually utilizing other creatures to actually make your army either wider or taller and just do some very exciting things. So yeah, Warden of the Grove, I can definitely see this one seeing a good amount of play. But of course, there are other exciting spoilers as well, including Synchronized Charge. Everyone charge together! That's what we were planning on doing. Sorcery for 2 mana in green. Distribute 2 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. If you control with counters on them, gain Vigilance and Trample till end of turn. You can also harmonize it again. I mean, I'd say this is more like an edge case card. It could be like a potential finisher-ish for you. That's like, okay, if you're trying to like hedge your bets, you're like, all right, Vigilance, so I can swing out, but keep my creatures back for blocking as well, to be able to get them through. Is it gonna see play? I mean, maybe in a counter-based strategy, you could try it out to see, like, okay, yeah, like, if you're constantly running into the wall of, I've got these giant creatures, but I can't get the damage through, this could definitely be something that could help you out. And again, to be able to harmonize it, you can recast it to do it again the next turn. That could be quite nice as well. Next up, Osseous Exhale, an instant for 2 mana in white. Just cast this spell, you may behold a dragon. So again, be like, hey everyone, behold my dragon that's in play, or this one that's in my hand. 5 damage target, attack your blocking creature. If a dragon is beheld, you gain 2 life. Yeah, it's probably more of a limited card, really. So, I mean, if you really want to like be like everything about dragons all the time, sure, in a dragon deck, but not really. Next up, Starry-Eyed Skyrider, a 1/3 human scout with flying for 3 mana in white. When this creature attacks, no target creature control gains flying until end of turn. Attacking tokens you control have flying. That's actually decently relevant for token strategies out there. If you're looking for, again, a way to get things through, great. I mean, there's other potentially better ways to do it. I would say, like, Levitation. Yeah, it costs a little bit more, but it's an enchantment, so it's going to be harder and harder to take out. That being said, yeah, if you've got a go-wide token strategy and you're like, I keep running into the problem with my tokens not being able to get through, this could really help you out with that. Next up, Dispelling Exhale, instant for 2 mana in blue. Again, behold a dragon if you want. Counter spell unless they pay 2. If you beheld the dragon for, probably again more of a limited card. It probably won't make the cut even in dragon decks, but maybe it will. Again, 4 is a decent amount for someone to pay if you do have the beholding the dragon. Yeah, but there's also better counter spells out there anyways. Next up, Wail of War. This is just like metal, just like riffing on a guitar, like and then, yeah, the opponent's been like, oh, run away, fall over. I don't know. Instant for 3 mana in black. Choose 1. Creature's target opponent controls gets -1/-1 till end of turn. Bring back 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. More of a limited card. It's not really doing all that much for you. It's very circumstantial. Like, there would be a time where, like, okay, I'm playing against a token strategy. Wow, I got you. I took out all your creatures. Good for me. For 3 mana. I mean, yeah, it'd be great when it works, but also it might not work sometime. Moving on. Worthy cost. Here we go. Source for a single black mana. It just costs cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, exile to a creature or planeswalker. Yeah, there's definitely some decks that could utilize this one. The one downside to it, obviously, is that it is sorcery speed. So it's like Bone Shards. I can't remember if Bone Shards is actually instant sorcery speed, but it's like basically like an improved Bone Shards in that it exiles. But yeah, it is, at the cost of losing a creature. That being said, of course, there are certain types of decks out there, like Aristocrat style, or like value-centered decks that actually care about sacrificing creatures, or just token decks where you just have an absurd amount of creatures that you don't care. So yeah, it's a low-to-the-ground removal spell. Again, the only knock is sorcery speed is definitely a downside when it comes to removal. Typically, you want to be able to react. And not being instant speed does kind of, put a damper on that. But yeah, try it out. Next up, though, oh my goodness, even more exciting spoilers, including Sinkhole Surveyor. This one is going to see a lot of play, I think. A 1/3 Bird Scout with flying for 2 mana in black. Whenever this creature attacks, you lose 1 life, and this creature endures 1. You put a counter on it, or more likely, you make a 1/1 spirit. So, yeah, this is basically creature token production, just again and again and again and again and again. Again, it is an attack trigger, so you are technically sending this into danger, but chances are incredibly likely that one of your opponents does not have a blocker for a flyer. So, yeah, you're been able to get through again and again and again, and yeah, you might build up, if you want to build up the counters, you can, sure. Like, again, like, when you're attacking, you can just go, okay, I will, get a counter on this so it's slightly beefier. But more than likely, you're going to be like, no, I'm going wide and making 1/1s. So it's kind of like a Bitter Blossom-ish. I mean, Bitter Blossom's obviously just strictly better. It is guaranteed. It's on enchantment, which is harder to deal with. And then also, I mean, it's making flyers. That being said, yeah, repeat, go wide. This is just a solid card, absolutely, for a lot of different kinds of strategies out there. Again, token strategies, go wide strategies, aristocrat-style strategies, a lot of creature fodder again. For a low-to-the-ground, evasive creature that can really help you out. It's a very cool card. Next up, Fire Rim Form, and I guess I should mention with that one, you lose a life. Who cares? You're in Commander. You have 40 life. Fire Rim Form, enchantment, Hora for 2 mana in red, flash, enchant creature. Enters enchant creature, gains first strike until end of turn, +2/+0. More of a limited card. I mean, very specific Aura's deck, maybe, but probably not. Next up, Meticulous Artisan, a 3/3 Djinn Artificer for 4 mana in red, prowess. When it enters, create treasure token. Unless you've got, like, treasure token creating ETB shenanigans going on for a deck that you're like, oh, I want everything that ETBs makes a treasure. It's probably more of a limited card as well. Next up, Chrotic Nestguard. It's got Defender. Cool. It can attack as though it didn't have Defender if you pay for it. Cool. It's a 4/4. Yeah, very much a limited card. Yeah, just very limited. Molten Exhale, a sorcery for 2 mana in red. Again, you may cast a spell as though it flash if you behold the dragon. Cool. 4 damage creature, Planeswalker. Yeah, more of a limited card. That's very specific. Again, in Commander, there'd be too many times where you're like, well, there's no Planeswalkers in play, and the creature I want to deal with has more than 4 toughness. So this isn't exactly going to work, and it's sorcery speed, so yeah, no. I mean, although it can be instant speed, obviously, if you behold the dragon, but if you don't have that, then no. Better things out there. Next up, Purging Exhale, instant for 2 mana in green. This cost cast spell, you may hold a dragon. Target creature control deals damage equal to its power. I was going to say combat damage, just regular damage. Equal to its power to target creature planeswalker. If a dragon was beheld, surveil 2. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for kind of those not fight effects, but the ones where your creature's actually not taking the damage. So, like, not an enrage trigger kind of deck, but just like a, I've got powerful creatures, I want them to take things out deck. Sure, consider it. There's better ones out there, most likely. If you got dragons, cool, you get a Surveil 2. That's some nice card selection, not card advantage. I don't think it's probably going to see play even in dragon decks. Though, next up, though, Roar the End of the Song. Sorry for this one being a bit blurry. That's just the image that was out there. 5 mana in Teamer. The first and second ones are for lore counters. Create a 5/5 green elephant creature token. Nice. The third one is double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. Pretty sweet, actually. So this is a saga where, yeah, you're already getting, again, across 2 turns, but obviously if you can proliferate it, then you can go speed things up. I mean, 10 power across 2 bodies for 5 mana, that's quite nice. And yeah, if you got a populate deck out there, then sure, you can just populate those, and those are pretty beefy creatures. On top of that, obviously, with the third lore counter, that's game ending. Doubling the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. I mean, those elephants themselves are, well, not evasive, and they don't have trample or whatnot, but you might have another way to get them through. But yeah, if you double that up, that's 10/10 elephants, so that's 20 power across 2 bodies, which is quite nice just with that. And of course, counting all your creatures, it's a very solid card that can definitely do a lot of damage. I mean, for a Saga deck, obviously, for a Blink deck that can actually Blink something like this, you're going to get a lot of value out of it. Maybe Proliferate deck can consider it as well, because they can manipulate it. But yeah, Power Matters deck, it's just a very solid card. There's only so many ways out there right now to double up your entire team's power and toughness, so it's definitely a card to be considered for those types of strategies out there. Finally, though, My goodness, this, in my opinion, is going to see a lot of play. 2/4 Human Warrior for 3 mana in Orzhov, Hardened Tactician. Pay 1, sacrifice a token, draw a card. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's quite good. Okay, so typically when it comes to sacrifice outlets, again, for certain types of strategies out there, like, well, aristocrat-style strategies, that's typically the one that you think about when you're like, sacrifice things for value. Yes, you usually want free sacrifice outlets, like Viserys here, right? Because Viserys here is freely sacrifice things, scry 1, and basically what you're doing. This one, you've got to pay for it. That being said, the typical going rate for sacrifice something, draw a card is basically, I mean, usually like on a black card, it's usually 1 into black is basically what you're typically paying. Now with that, you can sacrifice basically anything. It's usually not limited to just tokens. That being said, this is 1 mana, draw a card, which is pretty good. And typically when it comes to aristocrat style strategies, the creatures you're sacrificing anyways are those token creatures for the most part. Not all the time, but for the most part. So just paying 1 mana every single time you want to sacrifice a token and draw a card, that is a ton of value for you, a lot of card advantage for you. Is it going to make the list like in every single kind of deck out there that, again, has like, you know, aristocrat style themes, the like sacrifice effects? No, because like there are a lot of them out there that do actually sacrifice a good amount of non-token creatures, or do really highly prioritize not having to spend mana to sacrifice anything. That being said, it's a very solid card, one that can definitely see a good amount of play for token strategies. Again, any kind of like a go-wide token strategy, essentially. And again, it is any token, do keep that in mind. So obviously, if you've got like treasures, if you've got clues, if you've got any other kinds of tokens, this can be a draw engine for you, and then some. I mean, like literally just with clues, this is just a strictly better way to sacrifice your clues. Your clues are usually pay 2, sacrifice, draw a card. This just says, no, let's just skip that, and then just sacrifice it to draw a card. So with that, aristocrat style, there's a lot of different potential uses for this card. It's a very, very solid new card that I think is going to see a good amount of play. Finally, though, and I've mentioned this on a few episodes so far, but this has been a very hectic spoiler season for me, so I'm a little behind on some of these spoilers. My apologies, but now I'm catching up. So if you're like me, here we go. Let's catch up on some spoilers. Marang, River, Regent, 6/7 Dragon for 6 mana. Coil and Catch, Instant Omen for 4 mana. Draw 3, discard a card. So that's quite nice, actually. Again, draw 3, discard 1. That's not too bad for 4 mana. Again, instant speed is quite nice. And of course, flying, when this creature enters, turn to 2 other target non-land permanents in its hands. This is a very solid dragon that could definitely see play in a dragon tribal deck. I mean, again, it is basically, yeah, card advantage when you need it. Again, instant speed card advantage, or removal when you need it, and also a decent body as well. And again, for a dragon, it's just 5 mana. Gross. Next up, Mardu Devotee, a 1/2 human scout for a single white mana. Enters Scry 2. Pay 1, filter your mana into those colors. Active only once each turn. Wizards, let Johnny's Johnny. Please stop putting activate only once each turn on these things. Okay, so basically, yeah, Scry 2 on ETB. If you really care about scrying 2, great. If not, you're probably not using this in any of your decks. Cool. Next up, Mardu Monument. Again, kind of like these other monuments, typically these are kind of more limited cards. Artifact for 2 enters, search up a basic mountain plain swamp, and you can pay 5 mana and tap, sacrifice it, create 3 1/1 Red Warrior tokens. They gain menace and haste, sorcery speed. Yeah, I mean, overall, like, just to do all of that for 7 mana in total to get like 1 land in your hand and then also like 3 tokens in play, not really worth it at all. It's more of a limited card. Next up, Marshal the Lost, a 3/3 Orc Warrior with Death Touch for 4 mana and Orzhov. Whenever you attack, target creature gets +X/+X until X number of attacking creatures. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid card. You can definitely pump something quite a bit. If you've got a go-wide strategy, this could be a good way to pump something up. Like if you got a commander that you really want to get like absolutely massive, sure. It seems pretty specific, though. Obviously, like Death Touch Tribal kind of deck could actually consider it as well. But yeah, it's kind of an edge case card. For the right deck, could utilize it. But outside of that, probably not going to see too much play, I wouldn't think. Next up, Purging Stormbrood, a 4/4 dragon for 5 mana. But it's got an Omen for 2 mana. Target creature gets +2/+2. Lifelink Hexproof till end of turn. So a nice little protection spell right there. Flying Ward 2, or Flying Ward, pay 2 life, I should say. Enters, remove all counters up to 1 target creature. Very specific decks that care about removing counters. Outside of that, probably not going to see too much play. Like, it is a nice little protection effect if you're looking, again, for, like, every single one of my cards in my dragon deck is a dragon. It could fill one of those slots. Outside of that, probably not. Next up, Qarsi Revenant. A disgusting looking, oh my gosh, vampire. That's some sick art right there. The Thing of Nightmares. A 3/3 vampire. Is its mouth, like, under its chin? I think its mouth is under its chin. Oh, 3/3 Vampire, Flying Death Touch Lifelink for 3 mana in black, renew for 3, and then exile this card from your graveyard, put a flying counter, a death touch counter, a lifelink counter, target creature, activate as a sorcery. I mean, that's a solid vampire. Like, vampire decks have a lot to already pick from, and usually they do like low to the ground vampires. This is low to the ground. It's not really helping you go wider. It's not helping your other vampires necessarily, but obviously if you renew it, you definitely can. I mean, like, keyword soup tribal decks, or like ones that care about, you know, keyword counters can definitely consider it as well. Would it make the cut in like a highly powered vampire deck? Probably not, I wouldn't think, but like, it is a solid card. It does a lot for you. And again, it's just kind of like crazy with where we're at right now compared to where we're at years ago. Can't remember. There was a vampire that was, like a 2/3 that basically had Flying Death Touch Lifelink that did a lot for you back in Limited. But yeah, now we're doing even more with this. It is a grossly cool card with some sick art. Again, literally, I think its mouth is underneath its chin. I can't get over that. Okay, next up. Rakshasa's Bargain. Instant for 3 mana or 6 mana, depending on what you're paying. Somewhere in between, maybe even. Insult Eye. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 in your hand, the rest in your graveyard. Instant speed, divination, basically, out of 4 cards. That's quite good. We finally got like the other, how was it, last year I think? Like actually finally instant speed divination, like just strictly better divination, which is sorcery, draw 2 for 3. This is obviously, I mean, specific mana value, but still like getting 2 cards off the top 4 and also getting those cards not in the bottom of your library, but in the graveyard. That's pretty huge. So yeah, I definitely can see this one seeing play in Sultai decks. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid card. Ones that care about their graveyard as well, especially. Next up, Reigning Victor. A 3/3 Orc Warrior that is very proud of this little butterfly ribbon thing that it won in this fight, I guess. For 3 mana in Mardu, or 6, depending, or something in between. Mobilize 1, so again, when it attacks, you get a little 1/1 red warrior that attacks with it, and it has to be sacrificed at the end of combat, or sorry, end step, I should say. When your target creature gets +1/0 and gains indestructible of turn, probably more of a limited card. I mean, unless you have like ways to use and abuse the ETB and you really care about that a lot, it's probably more limited. It's not doing all that much for you. Maybe a go wide strategy to consider, but probably not. Or like an attack trigger strategy, maybe. Next up, Rite of Renewal. Return to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Target player shuffles up to 4 target cards from their graveyard in the library. Exile it for 4 mana in total. It's a lot of mana for specifically 2 permanent cards versus just 2 cards in general. Forcing, I mean, if you have a deck that specifically cares about, you know, reshuffling things back into the deck, like my Hypergenesis deck, then maybe consider it. But like outside of that, probably not going to see too much play, I wouldn't think. It's pretty edge casey. Next up, though, Riling Dawnbreaker, a 3/4 dragon for 5 mana in white. You can omen it for 2 mana in white. I don't think that's a phrase, but it's going to be a phrase right now. Create a 2/2 white soldier creature token or Flying Vigilance. Speed of combat on your turn on target creature control gets +1/0 until end of turn. Yeah, I mean, it's just an okay dragon with an okay omen. It's probably not going to see all that much play. Next up, Ringing Strike Mastery. An aura for a single blue mana. Enchant creature. Tap down the enchant creature. It doesn't untap to an untap step. Enchant creature has pay 5, untap this creature. I mean, typically you'd think of this one like as a, oh yeah, like I shut down that creature. Cool. But it's actually potentially more so like a combo piece where it's like, oh, okay, I've got a creature that can tap for more than 5 mana. Awesome. Infinite tap, untap, 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 infinite mana. So I'd say this one's actually more of a combo card than like a shutdown creatures card. But of course, you can utilize it in an aura strategy, an enchantress strategy that likes to utilize these type of effects to take creatures out. So yeah, it's interesting for sure, but also potentially a combo-worthy card. Again, if you've got creatures that tap for more than 5, which there are plenty of ways to do that with a lot of creatures out there, yeah, you can go crazy with this. And there's even some commanders that do that too. So have fun! Finally, though, Rediscover the Way, a saga in Jeskai. The first and second lore counters are, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them in your hand, the rest of them in your library in any order. The third one is, whenever you cast a non-creature spell this turn, target creature control gains double strike until end of turn. It's a very interesting card again. So you are getting basically like pick 2 out of the top 6, essentially. So that can be a good way to get a good amount of, I mean, selection. Like for 3 mana, that'd already be probably worth it. I mean, that's pretty good, right? But that being said, of course, like, hey, okay, casting non-creature spells, if you're going to be casting quite a few of them, giving double strike, that can be quite great. If you've got, I would think this would be more so like, if you've got a commander that can hit really hard and like you really care about giving it double strike, this could be a good like card selection piece to add into your deck. that also can just inherently win you the game potentially when you get to that point of, oh, okay, cool, like I'm casting my creature spells, I pump my commander a ton, maybe I pump something else a ton, and give, both of them, double strike essentially. Do some pretty crazy things with that. Other than that, maybe a Saga strategy, obviously, or a Blink strategy could take advantage of this for some repeat card advantage. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. As always, comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.